Yes.
Hello, hello. Let me introduce this beautiful scene. We've got my gorgeous husband, Srikala, with the beautiful Pacific behind him.
Yes.
Y'all probably know his face.
I set it up like this for you. So,
For me?
yeah, for you and for everyone watching. But definitely for you.
This is a continuation of our Shree's and my ongoing conversations about race, success, and spirituality. And tonight we are super, super honored to have two incredible guests with us, the lovely Erika Matos and Felicity Janene. These gorgeous women are doing incredible work in the world and have tremendous expertise and insight about all three of these subjects, race, spirituality, and success. So we're super excited to go deep into this little pocket of potentially messy tangle that Sri and I have been exploring, and let Erika and Felicity bring their wisdom. So if you're watching live, please screen share and share the link on your profile. We want to spread this wisdom and love as far and wide as we can. And let us know you're here. Post in the comments, tell us hi. I'm just going to read the bios of these beautiful women so that you can get to know them a little more. Erika Matos is a spiritual teacher, mindset coach, and energy healer focused on female entrepreneurs who feel burned out, confused, and overwhelmed by their business. Raise your hand if you know what that feels like. Erika helps her clients find inner peace, flow, and excitement again so they can create the impact they've always wanted without sacrificing faith, health, relationships, or joy. And you can find out more about her, obviously, with her handle at Erika Manifest. Note the K in the spelling of her name. And her website is thefeelgoodshift.com.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
So yummy.
I love that.
Anything else you want to add before I...
Yeah. Not really. Just a huge thanks for this opportunity. I'm looking forward for where we're going and how messy or not we're going to get in this.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Felicity Janene is an Indigenous woman with a lineage in the Ojibwe and Blackfoot nations. She has spent the past 10 years working with universal principles of spirituality and the significance of cultural lineage. Felicity now leads the nonprofit organization Radha Seva, empowering widows and the underprivileged, restoring sacred land and traditional culture of rural India. She's epic. These two.
We got some epic personalities.
Felicity, remind us, because I didn't write it down, the website for Radha Seva, if people want to learn more about that organization.
Radharani.com.
RADHARANI.com. Beautiful.
Yes.
So, Felicity, I'm gonna just stay with you. I want to hear more about what this piece of your bio means to you when you talk about the universal principles of cultural lineage. I'm sorry, the universal principles of spirituality and the significance of cultural lineage. Can you talk more about what that means to you?
Well, for me, it's incredibly personal. When I grew up, I was raised with stories of my mom speaking about how difficult and frustrating it was for her to not know about her culture or her lineage, knowing that she was a Native person. And the frustration of the responses other people would have towards her as a Native woman and not having a culture or a lineage to kind of hold her up, but instead felt weighed down and trapped by that. Just to explain that a little bit further, she would go to her grandmother and ask her about her heritage and her culture. And her grandmother would say, "You're a Native woman. I'm not going to tell you anything more about that. Don't ask me again. You know, we don't talk about this." And then when she was in school, everyone would say, "Oh, she's the Native kid from the res. Like, you know, don't talk to her, don't associate with her and her brother. Like, just, they're like trash, basically. And she was treated like that because she was a Native girl. So growing up with that and seeing her struggle and how much work she put into reestablishing herself within her culture and her heritage, and the major transformation that had in her, and also the major transformation that she allowed and offered opportunity for so many other people once she had established that place for herself. It was astounding for me, and it left a tremendous impact. And so I was like, okay, this is my life. This is what I'm going to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's really powerful to hear you speak about that. And Erika, I'm curious what your resonance with Felicity's story is.
In a sense, I am Felicity's mom, right? It's I'm in this sharing this parallel, navigating being an immigrant, navigating not having that connection, having to embody this new identity so that I can learn the rules of this place, of this country, specifically in the United States, so that I can then figure out and adapt how to be, and always never really fitting into any one specific box.
I'm very struck by there's many levels, but one piece that it feels a little shocking actually to hear you articulate is the amount of disconnect from the lineage. That there's like the sort of opportunity to have an identity that connects to history being missing, and at the same time being judged and ridiculed and outcast because of that same lineage, but not having, it's like the worst of both worlds.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I always talk about, and I'm very much with you, Felicity, with like the spiritual laws and how that has helped me in my journey really find me. Because one of the challenges has been finding a sense of belonging, finding out where do I belong? What is my box?
Yes.
And then realizing that that box didn't exist because I didn't exist. And it's coming into that deeper understanding so that now I am my box. I am whatever I choose. But there are, and I'm going to just kind of deviate a little bit if that's okay. Because when I hear Felicity talk about navigating and finding your place in a way, you have a lot of this cultural piece coming in, especially now, where the news, for some reason, I'm feeling really compelled to be connected to the news at this moment, which I usually don't. And then seeing that paradigm being reflected daily, and then what do I do with that so that I can continue being my box?
I love that. I feel like this is so relevant because, I went to Jesse's family reunion. Was this last year, Jesse? Or 2 years ago?
You're talking about in at the beach, right?
Yeah.
That was at least 2 years ago. It was a while ago.
Yeah, and it was so amazing to get a taste of that because they did the research to trace back the lineage. And I think what was it, your uncle? I think it was like your uncle or something. He had a whole poster on the wall of like, this person was this person's father and this person's father, and they could trace it back. And I was like, wow, I wish I could do that. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
That he decided to do it because first it took him to decide, like, I want to do this. I want to trace it back and record things so that I can pass it on. And I feel like that was the first space of just of like maybe grief or sadness that came through around this area of lineage, and knowing that like I don't know who my great grandmother is, no clue, and yeah, that's something to be. And the beautiful thing that you said, Erika, in the space of we get the opportunity to start it. We get the opportunity from here to create that. you know, and so it's a blessing.
I really appreciate you connecting that dot for me, Sri, because it took me into a deeper level of understanding. I think that's an example of privilege that I wasn't even on my radar. And I remember you bringing it up then, and at the time, and even we've talked about it a couple times, but each time kind of recognizing like this is a way in which Sri and I are different and appreciating the diversity, but I missed in the communication around it, the privilege. And it's on both sides of my family. They're both like, I got Daughters of the American Revolution on one side. I got whatever the other one is.
Yeah, it would be so cool
on
to
the
have
other
one
side
of those like really old photos.
And I mean that the family that you're talking about, Sri, they geek out about it. It's always been kind of boring to me. Like it was that it wasn't like when you mentioned it, I don't think I even understood what you were talking about at first. Because in my body, I am not conscious of identifying with that lineage particularly.
Yeah.
But you're all right that I have it. And I'm very aware as I'm listening to each of you that like I'm in my questioning of how much of my confidence and sense of belonging in the world comes from just that I'm like, yeah, my people have been here.
I know who they are. So
I know who they are.
A chance of knowing who I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Super powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, juicy.
Erika, what's been the most challenging aspect of the last couple of weeks for you?
Ooh. Wow. In a way, it's not new. It's not this. Unfortunately, it's not a new dialogue. This because of how it all happened, and specifically about George Floyd. It brought up something I wasn't expecting. And it made me aware of my own privilege of I'm not, because I didn't belong to those boxes. And still having this empathic connection because I'm connected to the human race. Like I feel all of that. The most challenging piece for me is feeling like somewhat of a sense of guilt that I could have done more, used my voice and my platform sooner. A sense of grief that I internalized some of that stuff and just kind of started feeling like it's just like the general course of action. Like this is just what happens. And the pain that brought up and the way that I explained it is like seen that one incident, feeling like it compressed all of my years of being dismissed and discriminated against. And like all of those stories came down to this one boiling point. And not only am I experiencing my own pain of knowing all of those pieces in my own story, but then feeling the grief of the collective because I'm not alone in this. That has been challenging to navigate. And having the media continue to perpetuate the pain and the wound from different angles with a new story, with everything that's going on. It's like every time it feels like it's healing, something else comes in, and I have to learn how to navigate that every day.
Why do you feel like it's different now? There's like, although the conversation is not different, is your experience that the world is different in response to it?
Yes, like I've never seen. I've never seen anything like what's going on right now. And it's the one time that I can say that I can feel hope, that I can feel like this is different and I'm not getting my foot off this gas. Because I want this momentum. I want this to mean something. I don't want it to just make media headlines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that longevity.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yes.
Yeah.
Just heard someone recently say that that's their biggest fear.
Mm-hmm.
They were confronted with like, aren't you afraid of, you know, getting attacked while you're protesting, or aren't you afraid of this or that? They're like, no, my only fear is that this momentum will slow down.
Yeah.
Like we will forget, we will go back into complacency, we'll go back
Yeah.
into that space. And that's a good thing to think about. Maybe not a good fear to have, but something to have the conversation around. I think that's a powerful space to look into. How are we keeping the conversation going, keeping the fire on?
Felicity, I want to come to you with some similar questions in a minute, but before we go there, Erika, I want to hear also from you what this is catalyzing for you. Like what, as you guys are, in my mind, part of why you're here is because you're as this burning is happening. You guys are some of the phoenixes that are rising up out of this trauma.
Carnage.
Yeah.
And so kind of taking the arc of the most difficult thing to what it's taking you to, what is emerging for you or in you out of this time?
I'm using that wound that doesn't close as fuel. I'm using it as, then what can I do today? And maybe today I just need to take a nap. Or maybe today I need to make a phone call. Or maybe today I need to do a life and serve my client the best I can possibly be. But it has brought up a lot of, how can I use what I have to then create sustainable change? And not just for me. It's that old, what I want for myself, I want for everyone. And regardless of the color of their skin. Like I want success. And I want some of Felicity's input on this, because the natural laws, the universal laws, that kind of mindset work, which is what I really focus on, how can that affect change from the personal to the universal? How can I amplify that message in a way that people can actually hear it and understand the importance of that work right now? It's like the fuel is that every time the pain comes in, it's strengthening me into getting louder. And not louder in the way that protesters are getting louder, but louder in my purpose.
Are you thriving with this pain? Are you like using it, and is it pushing you forward, or do you see yourself, getting the lesson from the pain and then using that motivation?
Sri, honestly, it depends on the day. There are days where like I need to take 3 naps in order to just get up and have strength to eat. And there are days where I don't know how to stop myself from doing. And I'm just following that guidance because I need to nourish myself. I need to take care of me, because me running ragged doesn't serve me or the world. It's catalyzing, and it's almost like, I always use the fitness analogy, right? Like you go to the gym, you're going to be sore. Maybe going to the gym again the following day is not the best thing, but you know you're going to get back in there. And I'm just kind of taking that, and it's like, I'm hurting today, and tomorrow might be the day where I make the most significant change. But today I need to step back and go within, and finding that balance every day of what needs to happen.
Magic.
Felicity, what's been the strongest aspect of this time for you? And when I say strong, it might be the hardest, but it might be something else, but like the most extreme in these last couple of weeks of quarantine layered on with race protests.
Well, this time has allowed me to internalize a lot and to reflect a lot. And today, I think this is relevant. I was watching and listening to some conversations with my spiritual grandfather, Rainbow Eagle. He's a Ogla Choctaw native. And he was speaking about the Peace Shield teachings and the lighting of the seventh fire. And so there's these prophecies of 6 fires and what will happen with the lighting of each one. And they're each like pain and misery and pain and misery and death and poison, all these like really intense, powerful experiences that like your people will suffer. And then there's the lighting of the 7th fire. And the lighting of the 7th fire is this opportunity of new people, new growth, opportunity of people to come together as one, truly as one. And to get to that point, it means that you have to go through pain and pain and pain and pain. And you have to, you know, scrub out the wound for it to heal properly, make sure that it's clean. And that's what I've been thinking a lot about with these teachings, these prophecies, that they're coming true. And that's a whole conversation on its own, but it's enlivening and it's invigorating and exciting that we can open this up, have these conversations, have this dialogue. So that's one end where I'm just like thrilled. And then there's the other end where I feel like, wow, this is so intense. This is so emotional. My brother is half Ghanaian. His mother is a Ghanaian woman. He's going through all of this. My father is trying to navigate all of this for his son. And there's the disappointment of, usually in history, whether it's discussed very much or not, Native people are standing beside Black people, and they have this like, we're cousins, you know, we're like rallying together. Please hear us, please hear us, please hear us. And I was reading an article the other day where it was like, Native people are wondering if they're going to have a voice in the conversation. And I'm thinking, well, we're not going to have a voice in the conversation if we don't stand up and say, hi, you know, I exist. And this is here for me too. And, you know, I was thinking about, you know, 1968, there was police brutality towards Native people, and how this exact same scenario was happening for Native people. And in 1978 was this massive thing that happened because it allowed for the Religious Freedom Act, which finally said Native people were allowed to be human beings and have their own spiritual practices. And then in 1990, which is 1990, like not that long ago, 1991,
right around the corner,
there was this whole situation of, again, tremendous brutality towards Native people, particularly in Canada, but it was like there in the United States as well, where they were saying no shirt, no shoes, no Indians. And so intense. And it was because Native people were saying, you can't build your fucking golf course on our spiritual land. This is our burial ground. Don't do it. And the military came in and communities divided. And if you were a Native person, you were death. You were just like the worst. And so, yeah, no shirt, no shoes, no Natives, no Indians. And people are really, they're not comfortable being a Native person. I remember being told, I didn't know that Native people existed. I thought you were all extinct. And that's a very intense experience to be feeling and to be thinking about what's going on right now with Black people in the Black community, and how we used to have the American Indian movement right there with them saying, you know, come on, like together. We're holding hands and we're doing this together and we support you together. And I'm not seeing it so much right now. And it's painful because not because now we should make this a platform for Native people also in this moment, but because I really loved this mood of together we are united, together we are standing here for each other, and together we are stronger. Because although our experiences aren't the same, they're very similar. They're like the opposite ends of the spectrum in one sense, actually, but they're together. And so here I am, like stepping up, like wanting to be a part of this. And I'm here to support. I'm here for the change. I'm here for this growth so that we can actually step into the seventh fire of the Peace Shield teachings.
Ooh, that's fun. Step into the seventh fire.
Oh. Yeah.
That's an invitation.
Yeah.
Feels so epic.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm going to chime in for 1 second because I really, really, really appreciate that comment of we're kind of on the same opposite side of the spectrum. That's so powerful. That's like hearing it coming from you specifically, right? It's not like this isn't contextually something that I haven't known, but hearing it from you landed in my soul differently. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I find it so amazing. We're talking about lineage and how some of us, we have that connection to the long lines, and for some of us, we only know a few paces back. And Felicity, it feels like you now have two lineages. It feels like you have, the Vaishnav lineage, and you also have the indigenous lineage. How do you balance the two? I feel like it's so amazing because especially my experience of it. So I lived in an ashram for about 6 years, in a Hare Krishna ashram. And then as soon as I left that, I had the opportunity to experience other indigenous cultures. Someone that became my very good friend, he was completely into being a shaman, and he's like learned all the tools and learned the whole speech, and and I was constantly turning down ayahuasca ceremonies left and right, and I found that they were so connected to like roots. They were so connected to the earth. They were so connected to the lineage, the ancestors, and that's not something that is so talked about, ancestry in that way, in the way the indigenous tradition. It's more like, disciplic succession and how do you balance the two? What's your experience of being in both worlds?
Fortunately for me, I've gone through the journey of uniting the two. And so there isn't really a balance for me so much at this point. When I first joined the temple and was part of the ashram, I was wearing moccasins.
We like have a little creature joining us. We got Felicity's roosters, Maui roosters, and Erika's like a aggressive dog. I'm picturing.
My ocean sound in the back. All the elements.
Yeah,
totally
are present with us.
Yeah, so I went to the temple and I was wearing my moccasins, and these were like moccasins that were made for me, perfectly form fitted to my feet. It was like very ceremonial. It was a thing. My moccasins for the rest of my life, my moccasins. And I'm wearing my moccasins to the temple, and a woman came up to me and she was like, what is this? This is animal skin. How could you?
Yeah.
What are you doing with it? And I was, am I being offensive? Like, what am I supposed to do with this? And so I asked someone, and they're like, well, one day you'll be willing to give it up. And and so I was like, okay, so I have a lot of internalizations to do. And the point of it isn't really to degrade the mentality of these people or to like point them out as like lesser in a way, but it goes to show that having some clarity of value in your life is very important, and so that you can stand strong in what it is that you're doing and why you're doing it. And that intention is very valuable and very important. And so I was like, you know, reading these different spiritual stories and seeing how sages lived and like sat on buckskins. And I was like, what about that?
Yeah.
And so it just brought, so I was like, okay, you know, so there's more to this. And if I want more, if I want to go deeper in, it's my responsibility, not the people around me. And it's totally fine how they feel and why they feel, because that's what they need. But what I need is something different, and I need this unity. And what I found was that as I was going deeper into my spiritual life in the Vaishnava community and experience, is that I already knew what they were teaching me. I grew up waking up early in the morning, going outside and chanting and singing before dawn, that I was offering my food to the divine, to Wakantanka, and to my ancestors before I ate it. Always. We had our spirit plate, and everything we had that we were going to eat, we put on that plate and offered it first. And that we honored our elders and our ancestors, and we had a lineage, and we had teachings that came down to us through the ears, and it was held in the heart. And there were so many things like this. I remember reading to my mom as Bhagavatam, second canto, and I was like, Mom, you know that ceremony we do where we have a copper pot and it's filled with water and you offer it to the moon and the moon has its reflection, you know, this beautiful moon ceremony that we do once a month. And she's like, yeah, I'm reading about that exact same ceremony right now in the Bhagavatam, which is ancient Vedic literature of India.
So cool.
Thousands of year old, it's exact same thing. And that's what I found over and over and over and over again, was that the teachings were like the same. And I was like, okay, there's universal principles here. Like there's something that's happening here, that what I grew up with in North America with my indigenous people is the exact same thing over here in India. Like there's something's happening. And so it was very transformational for me. So I didn't need to balance one or the other. It was uniting them and seeing the glory of there's one teaching and it's offered to everyone. It might have a different name, might look a little different, but it's the same thing.
Yeah. Big.
Huge.
Yes.
It's huge. It's huge. And if you don't study the two, you would never know. You'd have no idea. And so I feel very privileged and very grateful that I've had that opportunity to see this impeccable line of spiritual teachings from the complete opposite ends of the spectrum of planet.
Magic.
Yeah.
Srikala, this was a really good idea.
Yeah.
Sri gets the credit.
Yeah.
I'll take the credit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bring it on. Give me all the credit.
In these conversations, I want us to keep talking about money and to keep talking about success and to keep talking about business as we talk about race, injustice, spirituality. And so I'm interested to hear from both of you what comes up for you just when we reintroduce that explicit thread. I can feel the like many different spokes of the wheel we could go down. Let's go down whichever one strikes you.
I'll chime. This is where, for me, and going back to like this sense of not belonging and feeling like, and if my dog growls, please excuse him. But it's one of those pieces where they have been separated for so long. Like when you're talking about spirituality, like being wealthy was never the thing, right? When you're talking about spirituality, like you're supposed to like renounce everything and go off to a mountain and like live off the land and not have any possessions and not do anything. The maybe when these books were written and money wasn't part of the equation, that was what you did. For me personally, from my experience, that was a big challenge, because then the bit of my heritage that I did know was like everything was stripped away because of this dictatorship. So me coming in with no generational wealth, because all of that was taken away, and having to start basically from scratch and move my way up. And it wasn't until I fully understood these spiritual principles, these universal laws, these foundational pieces that unify everything, like Felicity was saying. Like, these aren't things that are random. You find that link, and suddenly, and I kid you not, because I know you've heard people say it, but it's like you tap into like that truth and that alignment, and money is no longer an issue. Like, you are supplied for. Your responsibility is you and showing up in the best of you. And then it flows in. As a woman of color in this country, as an immigrant, like, and I'm gonna say this not with offense to anyone, but it's like the money struggle is so heightened. It's always, there isn't enough, this lack story. And it pains me because I was in it. I know what that feels like. And Sri, in one of the lives you did, you were talking about royalty. And I think like one of the biggest damaging pieces of everything that's going on is robbing people of the capacity to even believe that that is truth. And that is where more of my presence, more of what my message is as a spiritual teacher, is bringing that conversation to the table and not keeping it separate.
Erika, I'm struck by a piece of what you're saying. I want to go back into and dig a little deeper, which is I'm curious if you have felt a sense of betrayal, or that you are at risk to betray your lineage if you are wealthy. If you break the pattern, is there a risk there, a danger there, a loss there?
Interesting. And I love the question because there's two parts to it. I'm feeling I have no lineage. That's like, for me, it just feels like I've been this kind of lone wolf person, kind of like navigating. And if we're talking about betraying lineage, my human lineage, maybe, but that's not what I believe I am. That's not who I believe I am. And if I am going to be true to what I teach and be in integrity with myself and say that I believe that I am a child of the divine, then that is my birthright. And not from a place where people are preaching it and saying it or regurgitating it because they heard somebody else saying it, but because that is my embodied experience. So there's, in every time, like a new level, right? I aim for more, I aim for expansion. There is always some of that friction that comes in. And the more I do it, the easier it gets to navigate those challenges, but they're always going to be there. It's not like all of a sudden I'm like, enlightened and I never go through any human challenges, but it's falling back into that truth that allows me then strength and understanding and clarity as to what to do next.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Love that.
What about you, Felicity? What's sparking you? Which of these sparks that Erika's lighting are landing on you over there in Maui?
I was relating to a lot of what you were saying, honestly. I was thinking about how, there's this, it's sort of a joke that, Native people gave mass amounts of land for a few shiny beads, and this idea of, money and what money means and what it looks like and what it feels like and what opulence looks like and feels like for a person who is more connected to roots and to the earth and to nature. It looks different, it feels different, and connecting that, and for me, I have that sort of issue where I'm just like, oh, money numbers, like I don't know what that means. Like the numbers get larger, the money numbers get lower, like 2,000, 20,000, I don't know the difference. and there's a lot of benefit to that, actually, as well as the difficulty of making responsible choices and not giving mass amounts of land for a few bits of beads. And honing into this opportunity of allowing all opulences to grow and thrive, whether it's me or my actual life or my relationships, and not seeing any of them as being particularly different, but just that growth and opulence is growth and opulence, and accepting all of it for what it is, and not denying one because of a particular mentality or consciousness or a shortcoming that I may have or my background might try to put on me. And that's something that I've been tapping. I think I felt some of that from you also. It's just this opportunity of saying, if you want more, if you want to experience more, if you want to go deeper, don't deny what's being put before you. If your hands are raised and open, whatever comes, you say thank you. And it works. And it works really well. And then you don't have to worry about what's coming into your hands. What's there for you will come. And what's not won't. But so many of us are saying, no, I don't want, too much, too hard, too difficult for me. I can't. Don't you know what I look like? Someone like me can't have. And that's the difficulty.
That it struck, because that's one of the challenges, is a person like me can't have that. And it's sometimes not me believing me, but believing what somebody else's judgment of me may be. And then believing that judgment then limits them from wanting to give to me. So that it's not and this is like the unraveling, because it's, and I'm saying this with a grain of salt, and it's supposed to be messy, but it's like the slave mindset that needs to be dismantled. That's, I'm putting on my gloves, because it's not just like, if we're going to talk about money, and I'm going to talk a little bit about disenfranchisement. Yeah, I can't say it. And economic equity. Like, I'm never going to dismiss somebody else's experience. My job is to meet them where they're at and take them back up to where I know the truth is. But if I'm barking down at them from that high place, no one's ever going to hear me. So it's one of those pieces where, like, I've gotten a lot of slack and I've gotten a lot of pushback, because people do see me as privileged in ways that I'm never going to understand. Whatever, that's fine, that's on them. But it's breaking down that because I look like this, I can't have it. It's that internalized piece that, like, in my opinion, it's the worst damage, because it steals from your soul.
Yeah, there's this the space of damage, this internalized damage that's just been passed down, and the beauty of getting to see it, because for so long it was hidden. For so long, no one could see it, and now it's such a beautiful thing that the timeline is speeding up. You know, technology. You know, there's so many people say so many different things about technology in different ways. Like, you know, will it destroy us? Will it be beneficial? You know, 5G, and everyone's all up in arms about new technologies. You know, and I understand it to a certain degree. We got to be discerning, and at the same time, it's allowing us to uncover shame. It's far out. That technology is actually right now allowing us to uncover, you know, decades and centuries of shame. Just in the sense of, you know, someone could just pull out a phone in any minute and catch you being ridiculous. You know, at any moment, someone could pull out a phone and catch something that is obviously wrong. And then people get to ask that question, why is that happening? You know, that's something that's been happening for some time. What is that? And have the space to actually feel that and actually take in the emotional content around it and experience it, you know?
Yeah. Can I add one piece to that?
Yeah, please.
One of the things that I was kind of pondering on was how the civil rights started because television. Because things were being televised.
I love that. Yeah.
Like, I want you to the parallels, right?
Yeah.
The technology at that point was that's what was available. And the reporters were the ones that were literally in charge of the conversation, of airing these crimes. Right now, we are the media. We, with our phones, documenting. And now that the media is no longer the truth teller, bringing it back to us. Let us show you the pain. Let us show you what we're seeing, feet on the ground, that you might not be seeing. And let's speed up that awakening that started back then with television, and that has been sped up because of the technology that we have available right now.
I love that. I love that. It has been happening.
Erika, as you were saying that, I just got like the whole energy, like recalibration through my body, feeling like actually this is the reason for the entire reason for the internet. It was like the universe collaborated to create television, and we made a little progress, and then it was like, okay, I guess they need another little like advanced, you know, we'll give them the internet. They'll figure it out.
Way too many hidden things here. Way too many hidden things. Let's create something to you remember that time there was a little like shift where everyone just kind of stopped giving a damn what people posted. There was a moment where everyone was like, take that down. It's not the photo I want to be on Facebook, you know? And then there's a time where that just stopped. It just stopped. Like, no one really like cares as much as they did like 5 years ago. If that picture goes up, I mean, people still message me and like, hey, can you take that down? It still happens. But now more and more people are more allowing, like, okay, cool. That video is up. Just let it ride. That picture is up. Just let it ride, you know? And so the curtain is coming up.
Veils being lifted.
Yes.
Going up. Yeah.
It's powerful. I want to hear from each of you how we, Sri, myself, each of you, but also everyone that's witnessing this conversation, how can we help you do what's next for you to do in your mission?
For myself, I think it's incredibly powerful for people to step out of the discomfort of feeling like they're going to culturally appropriate, to take the opportunity of going deeper into culture, into spirituality, into finding a culture, if not your own, that resonates, and to go deeper with it and to find out what are the practices, what are the values, what is the meaning of this, why is this significant and important, why does this matter, and how is it going to matter for me, and how is my life going to transform because of this. And I think that more people would do this if they weren't terrified of this idea of cultural appropriation. And cultural appropriation has its place. I can't stand it, you know, when someone's wearing their little headdress, like, while drinking their beer and like, nah, 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 nah. You know, I don't like it.
That's like the appropriation sound effect.
Yeah. It's not nice. But at the same time, we can't allow that. We can't allow distasteful behavior of others to stop us from going deeper into culture for our own benefit and for the benefit of others, and to share that and to not be afraid and to welcome it for yourself and find people who welcome it for you also, regardless of what culture you choose.
Yeah.
But if you go into something that's deep and rich and full and it has a lineage, you're going to find something of value, and it's going to wake up things in you that you didn't know were there before. And it makes a difference. It makes a tremendous difference.
I love that you brought this up. And I'm just going to throw this one little piece in about appropriation. Because I think that what you said is such a mature stance. It's such a, like, there's so much understanding you have around this topic, because in one sense, it's like, you know, it's kind of distasteful in a way, appropriation. And then at the same time, it's just a natural step for someone exploring spirituality. It's for someone going deeper into.
That's right.
For some people, you know, they might need to put on that headdress and express themselves.
We're gonna have to make mistakes.
Exactly.
We're gonna have to, like, go in.
Yeah.
We have to.
Messy with it. Yeah. So I love that it's both. You know, there's the get the knowledge to understand what that headdress is actually for.
Yes.
And at the same time, explore, go deep, ask questions, so I feel it's beautiful.
I just want to shout you out, Felicity. I think that your spiritual leadership is so wanted, so needed. You bring such a unique and mature and inclusive perspective. And it is why Radha Seva is blessed to have you. And I'm just going to add to your call to action that anyone that's listening, go to radharani.com and see what you're doing, because what Radha Seva is doing is incredible. And I think it's actually a very powerful entry point to doing what Felicity just suggested, because you will see a piece of culture that means a lot to a lot of people. So
I'm happy you said that, Jesse.
Yeah.
Because I was also looking for a direct way to support Felicity.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful work, and it's working directly on this change culture. It's my heart for sure.
And that's RADHARANI.com. Radharani.
Yeah. Radharani, the divine lady, divine feminine, Radharani.
Add that for everyone.
Thank you. Yeah. Beautiful. And Erika?
I'm going to just go into Felicity's work for 1 second, because it is so here's the thing. What she's doing is absolutely mind-blowingly powerful. And it creates a bigger dialogue, because it's not just about the work that she's doing, it's how do we start creating cultural change at the grassroots level.
Yeah.
I'm taking notes right now, right? I'm okay, noted. I'm feeling like that might be something that I need to start exploring myself with my own work. And to then right into my own spiel is this is me. This is my soul. I've shared some of it with you today. This is my mission, is to liberate people. Like, I can't say it any other way. Like, I am here to like bust the shackles in people's minds. To really get people liberated. And right now, my work has been like, right now, my focus is people of color, women of color specifically. I feel like in the coaching industry, that needs to be a bigger conversation, and I'm spearheading that because it needs to be spoken about a little bit more loudly. And I feel like that is my chosen platform at this moment. And it's, go to thefeelgoodshift.com. That's my website. If that message resonates, book a call with me, send some referrals. Like, I'm really trying to expand in a way that I've never wanted to before. And I can't do it alone. I need help. And me asking for help is a big deal in and of itself. So it's part of my mission here. And this is not just for me. This is so that I can start my own version of creating that cultural change. And that's going to need all of our voices and whatever gifts I can deliver.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
thank you. Thefeelgoodshift.com.
Yeah.
So I want to piggyback briefly that everyone watching this stream should be following Erika and Felicity, sharing their posts, using their content to populate the internet with more diverse perspectives and faces. And if you are interested in using your platform to amplify other voices, you can invite these two amazing women to speak on your platform. And your platform is your, right? Like, going back to what Erika said, right now, we are the media. We all have a platform. It doesn't matter how many followers you have. It doesn't matter how many friends you're connected to. You have a platform. And bringing these incredible women onto that platform to speak about the intersection of what is interesting to them, what's going to serve your community, is a really valuable way to win-win-win for the world. Felicity, Erika, Sri, I'm so fucking honored to be with you guys. I love you all. I learned so much from you. This conversation has been so rich. I feel so deeply, deeply blessed.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Thank you guys so much.
Mitakoyase.
Yeah, Mitakoyase. Yeah, aho. Aho Haribo. Bringing it back.
All of it. All the love, all the unity, all the oneness. And the like, just even this little screenshot of like the message. And this is where we're going.
Yes, more of this. More of this.
Well,
and
so
everyone, share this video.
Yes.
This is going out right now on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram. Share this video, get the knowledge out here. Just that one share can make, can really blow someone's mind and liberate someone from all of their suffering. So use this as that tool for love, and share this content.
Yes, we are the media.
We are the media.
That's like definitely the hashtag for this.
We are the media. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you,
absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, thank you, Erika.
No, thank you all. It's such an honor to be here and to share these voices and the message. And I'm just feeling so soul-fed right now.
Yes.
Those of you who have been watching with us and those of you watching the replay, comment. Let us know what stood out to you. Let us know what insights you gleaned. Tag Erika and Felicity. Let them know, right? Sri and I default read all these things, but you want Erika and Felicity to read it, tag them, engage with them, direct message them, tell them how they've impacted you. This matters.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank all of you. Thank you.
Blessings, blessings.